Hello, and welcome to another segment of the Fitness Whisperer. So today we're going to talk about why people get lower back injuries at the gym, neck injuries, and wrist injuries, because they all actually have to do with the same common denominator. There's actually two reasons for that, okay? So let me just create a little bit of a scenario. I'm not going to talk too much about it. I'll get to the meat and potatoes in a minute, okay? So, ever been a situation in which where you worked out a day or two ago, and the next day or the day after that, or 2 days after that, your lower back is sore, or your neck is sore, or you have some discomfort in your wrist, or maybe even a little bit of sensitivity in your elbow, right? After exercising. And you're going through the process in your mind, like you're thinking about what you did, and you didn't do anything specific that would have caused that injury. Like you weren't doing any neck exercises that day, for example. You know, you were doing legs, or you didn't do any back exercise that day. You were actually doing arms, and for one reason, that particular part of your body is sore, and you're boggling your mind trying to figure out why. Okay, so today we're going to talk about why that happens and how you can go about fixing that. Okay, now, like I said a minute ago, they are two major reasons why. One, you weren't contracting your abdominal muscles, and two, your wrist, the strength or the grip of your wrist was not tight enough when you were actually doing a particular exercise. Okay, so we'll talk about your abdominal muscles for an example. All right, so I'll use the arm curl for example. You can be standing or sitting, and if you're doing like double arm curls or single arm curls, you're standing, slight bend in your knees. And okay, we'll do the double arm curls, and you're doing double arm curls, right? So what happens, and I'm sure we can all relate, if you want to do 10 repetitions and you've already done 2 sets, you're a little bit pre-exhausted, and you want to finish your last 10 reps, right? So by time you get to 8 or 7 or 8, you're flexing your back. You really want to get that weight up, and in doing so, just from flexing your back alone, that is one major reason why people get severe neck pain and severe lower back pain a day or two after their exercise, right? What you're not doing, contracting your abdominal muscles. And by contracting your abdominal muscles, what that does is the muscles that run along your spine, your lower spine, all the way up to your neck, when you contract your abdominal muscles, those muscles engage as well, right? So it prevents your spine from moving from left to the right, right? What happens is when you're trying to get to your last repetitions and you're bending your back and your neck, you're trying to get that momentum up, your spine actually moves out of place a little bit. Then your brain sends a signal to those muscles along your spine to contract, because it does not want your spine to move out of place. And when that fast contraction happens, that's when you get that stiffness, and it could take 3 days, 5 days, a week, or even 2 weeks for those muscles to relax again. So, for that duration, you're on muscle relaxants, right? So by contracting your abdominal muscles, you're actually engaging those muscles along your spine to contract as well, to keep your spine in place, right? So by squeezing your abs, you're not going to be, rocking back and forth to get that weight up. You're going to be nice and straight, and you're just, going through the actual arm curl. You're not moving at all. So that in and itself is going to save you from a lot of lower back pain and a lot of neck pain as well, just from squeezing your abs. It's going to help your back, okay? Another thing is, and we'll still go along the lines of, standing arm curls. When you're doing arm curls, what you want to try to avoid, especially on the way up, is turning your wrist in, right? A lot of people I see at the gym, right, when they go up and down, when they're going back and forth with the weight, not only are they rocking, but when they get to the top, they're turning their wrist in, right? And you want to avoid that. You want to make sure that your wrist is nice and stable all the way down and all the way up. Hang on to that weight. Squeeze the bar. Do not make your wrist flex at all, because by doing that over a period of time, you're going to get a sore wrist, repetitive strain syndrome. A lot of people who work office jobs or who work at a factory, granted, of course, after typing and doing the same thing over and over again, it can affect your wrists. Right, but if you are exercising and you're still feeling that discomfort in your wrist and you're trying to figure out why, it's because you're flexing your wrist when you're curling, when you're pulling, when you're coming down. All those movements. Keep your wrist nice and stable. Do not flex your wrist. squeeze that weight, okay? And that's also going to go a long way in helping you from getting that tendonitis in your elbow, because when you, if you're looking at me right now, watching this video, squeeze your wrist, flex your wrist, and put it right along your forearm, right? So release. So put your finger in your forearm, release, squeeze, right? So right away you feel that forearm right here engage, it gets nice and tight. Not only does your forearm get tight, but it also engages those muscles and ligaments around your elbow as well, right? So if you rub your elbow, release and squeeze, you can actually feel, your forearm muscle right around your elbow. It engages as well, so it keeps that elbow, that joint nice and stable as well, right? So you're not going to get that tendonitis and discomfort in your elbow just from squeezing your wrist, right? So your wrist is going to be able to maintain or prevent. You're going to prevent your wrist from getting injured, and you're going to also prevent your elbow from getting tendonitis or that discomfort in the elbow, right? So just from squeezing your wrist alone, right? Now I understand. Everybody is busy, you want to get into the gym, do what you need to do, and get out again, right? But you're better off doing, if your goal is to do three sets of each exercise, like if you're doing leg or arms that day, you want to do 3 sets of arms, you're better off only doing 2 sets properly as opposed to 3 sets erratically and hurting yourself, because you're only setting yourself back. So if it's a matter of time, I understand. Cut it back down to 2 sets then, as opposed to 3. At least that way you're doing it properly, and you're actually working the muscle that you're supposed to, just from engaging your wrist and your abdominals, right? You're actually working that muscle, because when you're loose and you're not contracting your abs, you may think, for example, you're working your lats, for example, the lat pull down, the lat pull down machine. If your wrist is loose and you're not contracting your abs, you actually your body's forced then to use other muscles to carry that weight through, like your shoulders. Your neck might bend a bit because your body wants to use your trapezius muscles to pull that weight down, and it's not good, because you're going to end up hurting yourself. Pull down lat pull downs, for example, keep a nice tight grip on the way down. Do not turn your wrist in. Keep it nice and straight, and you want to squeeze at about. Now, you don't want to squeeze at 100%. You want to squeeze at about a 50 to 60%. And I understand that it's going to take some time for you to figure out what's 50 to 60%. But think of it this way. If you're doing a lat pull down, for example, and you're still flexing your wrist, you need to squeeze a little bit harder, okay? So gauge it. Squeeze to the point where you're doing it and you're not flexing your wrist at all, okay? And same thing applies with the lat pull down. You want to keep your abdominals nice and tight, because you're going to engage those muscles along your spine to stay nice and stable, right? It's going to keep your spine straight. If not, if you're not using your abs, you're flexing your spine. Your spine is actually doing this, and it's just a matter of time before it moves out of place. Your brain's going to send a signal to those muscles along your spine, boom, to contract. And there you go, you're stiff for a week or 2. And now, I've hurt myself over the years. It's bound to happen. And I know what it's like to have lower back pain and neck pain from just not focusing or doing the improper form at the gym. And for all of those people out there who've had lower back and neck pain, I'm sure you can relate. It's debilitating. You cannot do anything. Getting out of bed, going to the bathroom, tying up your shoe, driving, sitting at the office, working at if your back and your neck is sore, it's just horrible. It's debilitating. You cannot do anything for 3 or 4 days. And just to think, if you just do one small thing, change one small thing up at the gym, it's going to avoid all of that, right? So it's important to just stay focused on your form, focus on keeping your core tight. Now, this applies to anything that you do at the gym. May it be squats, may it be a seated row, may it be sitting on the Bosu ball and doing crunches. Anything that involves any kind of movement, especially where you're not using weights, make sure that you squeeze your abs to keep your back nice and stable to avoid any lower back injuries, right? At the gym, anything that involves weight, may it be free weights, may it be a universal machine, anything, curling up, pushing up, doing flies, shoulder extensions, just make sure at all times that your wrist is nice and stable and you're not flexing. Just carry that weight through. Do not be loose on the weight, hold that weight, okay? Now you can just do a quick experiment, right? If you hold your arm up like this, put your finger close to your elbow like this, and now just make a tight fist, squeeze and release and squeeze, and you can feel that muscle right here, relaxing and engaging, right? Relaxing and engaging. So by squeezing, right, you're going to keep that muscle around your elbow nice and stable. So when you're actually doing an exercise, you're not going to have any injuries. You're engaging that muscle. Subconsciously, your mind is telling your muscle, okay, we're getting ready to work out. Now you have a nice tight grip. Let's engage those muscles. And also, when you're engaging your grip, you're actually going to work the muscles that you're supposed to. So if you're doing shoulder presses, for example, nice tight grip, engage those muscles. All you're going to be working, because you're nice and engaged, is those shoulders, right? If your grip is loose, right, and you're doing shoulder presses and your grip is loose, your body is going to try to recruit other muscles to carry that weight through, because you're not engaging that muscle, and that's where you get injured. You know, you start to push and bend the back and flex the neck because your body's trying to help you get that weight up, and in doing so, you're going to end up hurting yourself. Okay? Engage the abs. It's going to keep your back nice and straight. Keep a nice solid grip, right? So you can engage your elbow from getting hurt, right? And you're going to be able to do the weight properly, and you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck. You're going to waste less time, and your workout is going to be a lot more effective, and you're going to be spending a lot less time in the gym. Now, one more thing. If your goal is to do three sets of a particular exercise, like I know we all have a routine, you want to do 3 sets of this, 3 sets of this, and 3 sets of this, 10 sets, 10 reps, 8 reps, 15 reps, whatever. Now, if it means that you cannot do 3 sets because you're engaging, which shouldn't be a problem, but let's just say time's an issue, instead of doing 3 sets in the beginning, cut it down to 2 sets. Now, I would highly recommend that you cut it down to 2 sets. I mean, it's easy enough to squeeze your abs and not flex your wrists. I mean, it's pretty easy to do, right? But it's all about training your body to get used to that particular new style of exercising, okay? So I would recommend that you do, instead of 3 sets, you do 2 sets for about a week or 2, just so the body gets used to engaging, squeezing and keeping the abs nice and tight. And then you can just bump it back up to your regular routine, your regular 3 sets after about a week or 2, okay? Just do, like maybe Wednesday's legs, Thursday is arms, and Sunday is abs, right? So each different exercise, you have 3 different workouts for 3 days of the week, or 2 workouts for 2 days out of the week. At least go through 2 cycles, so do it for 2 weeks, okay? Train your body for 2 weeks, engaging your abs and keeping your grip nice and tight, and then go back to your regular 3 sets after that. And by then, your body should be conditioned, and it should understand what it needs to do, okay? But really focus on your grip, folks out there, and keeping your abdominals tight with any exercise that you do at the gym. This applies to everything. If you're doing cardio, if you're on the elliptical, if you're on the treadmill, you see people on the treadmill and they're hunched over and they're walking away. No. Keep your abs straight, tight, sit up, and just go through the motions. Walk, same thing on the elliptical. Keep your abs fairly tight and just push through. It may be a little bit more challenging, but you're doing your body a great service and you're not going to get yourself injured, okay? So that is it. Now, once again, I'd like to thank all those people out there that have been sending me emails. Please continue to send your emails. I'll try to get back to as many people as I can. Once again, you can email me at thefitnesswhisperer _7@gmail.com, or you can follow me on Twitter at thefitnesswhisperer. Okay? So thanks again for watching, folks, and bye for now.